playbook. Okay, our core mission. It's paint a purpose, because that's really what it comes down to in the first principles of things. Self-destruction into self-expression, and our tragedy into the love story, which is why there's two parts. So, you know, a saying goes that you gotta tell it to transform it. That's really what the whole point of writing a tragedy out first is, even though it might sound ironic that we are called the love story and we're asking you to first write out a tragedy. But I feel like that closure is necessary for people. Some people are just not ready to laugh at their own pain until they've processed it. So let's see. Any questions about that? The producer's playbook idea, the 3-act tragedy. Or comments? No? We're all good? We have an extra person? Is that
It's
John?
me. It's
Okay,
me.
all right. Like sneaking up on us. Our
I was muted.
out there.
I just wanted to say I sent a copy to my incarcerated family member of the playbook recently, because I thought that he might glean some helpful inspiration from it.
That's great. Thank you for that, Laura. And I know John mentioned something about in the future getting into prisons and doing more workshops with them. John, do you want to expound on that?
That's a great idea.
Benji, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. I'm switching between my phone and my computer.
Oh yeah,
So,
mute one of them.
Yeah. Well, I thought I turned my phone off, but hang on.
That is a trippy echo.
Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to power my phone off. Okay. So yeah, you know, I don't know, the thing about the prisons, there are so many people in there who need it, but there are so many obstacles to getting anything in the prisons. It has been my experience. So you know, I think that it was perhaps more of a me thinking out loud than anything. But you know, there's definitely a need there.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think more so I think our first go-to-market should be college students or post-grads, so that they can build up that community, and then perhaps as a college community service, they can go out to their local prisons and do something with them. You know, I think that would be more of a strategic way of getting to inmates. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, but where it's at right now, we're just going to focus online currently. But let me go over kind of what's been happening on the back end of the playbook. The good news about me being quarantined or isolated is that it gives me a lot of time to just sit in front of a computer and not go anywhere. So that gave me some time to do more designing and developing of the program. And so what you have here is Act 1 is about focusing on faith while in fear, or, to combat fear. And this is our genre, journal, truth, and fiction for now. And I did a quick video on that. It's a simple 3-step process. Journal, why? To, illuminate what's hidden, discover your true and false passions. These are the 4 ways of doing it. Step 2 is resonate, edit. And then here, join our community Slack. Hopefully you'll start growing in the next few months. And why are we resonate editing? To discern the truth from the life lies in our journal entries. What is resonating? And then how to. And then like 3 ways of doing it. You could lead one, you could attend one, or you can resonate edit with a pen pal, someone you meet online. More on shadow work. And then step 3, read, resonate, and respond to the producer's playbook text. Aura has edited the producer's playbook. Aura, if you could give us a little insight on your take of, and maybe you could go a little further down the memory bank, because I know it's been a while. It's been like a year. But what is your take on like the first section of the book?
The first section of the book. Oh gosh, I'd have to.
The first 4 chapters, or maybe like the beginning. Like, what's your first impression?
Gosh, I would literally need to even just scan it for a second just to kind of jog my memory.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. I can just look it up real fast. And just kind of like scan it real fast, because it's just the way my brain works, because I just have, my memory is so like.
All good. I'm gonna get back to you on that.
Okay.
John, did you read any of the chapters by any chance?
I have to be honest and tell you I have not.
That's all right. What I would like people to get from the first 4 chapters is to really understand why pain exists. Because I think that was the first question I asked in frustration and angst when I was going through my stuff. And the first 4 chapters for me was an attempt to understand it from a parable. At least that's kind of where it's at. The promises, like what is the promises of a producer, the properties of love. And again, I know already there's going to be people out there who are definitely not religious and who don't believe in a God at all, who might look at this like, oh my gosh, she's just selling me a story, or she's brainwashing me, or she's being preachy or whatnot. But I think for the greater part of us, it's comforting to know what the properties of love is, so that they can discern when they're in love or out of it. They could discern whether someone's treating them in love or they're just manipulating them. I think it's good to have a proper definition or a standard of what love is and what love is not. So that's why it's there. And then the premise is really about what the fall is. Like, why do we fall for love? Why do we fall apart from it? And it's more of an intimate experience, our relationship with ourselves. And then finally, the producer is like, what are some character qualities of the producer in honor of Eve, the original Eve, according to the book of Genesis, and how she's been misunderstood, I think, in old religion, I would say. I just have a different interpretation of who this person was. the first woman. And so that's kind of where it's at. It's grounded on the divine feminine. And I think it's very informative for people who just want some basic understanding of why they suffer when love is gone, when there's absence, when there's a void. And then the Fight Club rules about the journaling community. We only have one rule, right? Just like AA has their rule of anonymity, we have our version of anonymity. Okay, so that's kind of the overview of where it's at right now. Any like just in the moment questions or comments?
Oh yeah. Okay, just kind of glancing over the book again. Definitely something else that more of like a pinpointed kind of concept, but I feel like it's kind of one of the like part of the base of the playbook was in the beginning, maybe it was like chapter 2 or 3. I feel like you kind of set up a scenario where you actually can like empathize with Lucifer, which is important because in understanding empathy for Lucifer, you can like then have empathy for like the darkest parts of yourself. And I feel like that's important for healing, you know?
Yeah.
And I found it really profound because there's very few books out there that create that sense of empathy.
Yeah.
For Lucifer, you know what I mean? So yeah, just it kind of humanizes him in a bit, in a way. Yeah, that was just that was like one of the major things that I got. Not that I'm like, oh yay Lucifer. I'm just saying like no, but you know what I mean. Like you definitely like you humanize his follies and like the way and it's kind of described in a way that makes sense and leads towards Eve being kind of the spell breaker, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny because now that I think about it, the function of Eve is to reverse the first curse. She's in a way embodiment of anti-evil. Like she carries the antivirus she becomes the antivirus to the virus. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really apropos during this time of our pandemic crisis that we're talking about that. And you'll know more about, John, you'll know more about her, I would say, uh, her hidden um, function in chapter 5 and how that directly relates to all of us when we are in the process of the mirroring of 1 Corinthians 13:12, which is the mystery of love, for now we see a reflection as in a mirror. So that goes hand in hand with compassion and empathy. So for sure. And then also the concept of shadow work, which is shadows inherently means the absence of love. So, 50 shades of shadows, any kind of anything that is not love is a shadow. And then within those shadows, there are noble shadows and alchemized shadows. And a noble shadow is a shadow that is true. And an alchemized shadow is a shadow that's false. And in our journaling in the first person, which I'm going to mention, I'm going to add to this this week, but basically why journal in the first is really that process of shadow work. So that's Freud's id, Carl Jung's shadow work, and the first 3 chakras of the 7 chakra spectrum. And then so yeah, it's a lot. It's like very dense material, but I feel that over time when people start showing up for this and start actively, creating their own workshops, just like AA meetings, just like all sorts of support group meetings. You know, it's going to be us being the facilitator, not the teachers. It's just going to be whoever in our community wants to host a shop, a workshop for the group. So let's go over the financials. Let's see. So I upped the membership to $11.11 for the year. And yeah, yeah, I think, you know, I want to keep it low enough so they know that we're not, you know, we're focused on the mission, but just enough so we can keep our essential costs covered. It's about $85 for SiteGround to host that kind of I might have to give you guys another link in 10 minutes, but $85 for the hosting for that amount of dense material that we have on the love story, plus some marketing stuff. But essentially what we want is it to be self-supporting in our community, just like everyone else. Oh, I'm just, you know, I've been seeing that number everywhere, John. Everywhere. Yeah. And then also Act 2 is $22.22 and Act 3 is $33.33. I feel like, you know, just go back to basics, 1, 2s, and 3s, like let it vibrate in the universe. Let's just, you know, spread that. Okay.
1111, you know, the one I lost in the accident, that was our favorite number for everything, was 1111, and so I find it peculiar.
Yeah.
Because I know you and I have never ever talked about that.
No, we haven't. You're right.
So I don't know where that came from, but it's just one of those things, you know. Irony's a funny thing. That's all.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, so Act 2 has not been built yet, but it's in process. But we focus on compassion over apathy, journaling in the second. And then we're going to do something called boomerang editing, which is slightly different than resonate editing. It's even more intimate, which we'll talk about later. And then we'll focus on chapter 5, which is really a revealing of how Eve served as a mirror, an embodied mirror for fallen Lucifer when she fell too. So it's like the fallen snake and the fallen woman face to face in the falling together. And because they're falling together, you know, negative multiplied by negative in algebra is a positive. And so that's how it works in AA. What I've learned is like people who share authentically become healed, especially if they're in the same spot or they've had a kindred experience. So it's kind of like that way of anti-curses. And then finally, we'll work out the details later. Finally, Act 3 is journaling the third person, and it symbolizes love over judgment. And then, of course, we have a layered way of getting people in. So ideally, I like them to do first and second before they do the third. It's like the first 3 steps of the 12-step program. But for journaling, for Act 3, it's journaling in the third person perspective. And towards the end of their, you know, their journaling process in Act 3, that's when the silver lining becomes obvious, or begins to reveal itself. Hopefully by then the journal artist will be able to see themselves clearly and really just accept their tragedy in its fullness. And by then, you know, since they're consistently documenting it with the journal artist community inside the love story to hold space for them, then hopefully they'll have that courage to take it to the next level by publishing it and then sharing it, although that's not required, because that's not what the program's about. The program is about a self-discovery, transformation, catharsis. It could be super personal. We're not really about publishing, although we will publish if they want to pay it forward and inspire other people with their testimony. And yeah, so that's pretty much where it's at. And then we'll figure out the upsells later, like coaching, publishing. These are just some numbers I threw out there. They're not solid numbers, but the Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 are solid numbers. The 111, 222, 333, those are solid numbers. We're going to keep it simple. And it's an annual membership, and they get access to all the content plus the community. Yeah. So that's the first part. That's the producer's playbook. And then Aura helped me edit the love story playbook, which is going to be the foundational textbook for the love story playbook. Aura, would you like to give some feedback on that? And by the way, this is not planned. I'm just putting her on the spot, and in a way I'm putting myself on the spot because, yeah, I haven't heard her feedback like verbally to me yet. So what do you think about the love story playbook? Aura, are you there? Sorry, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I forgot that I was muted. Let's see. As far as the love story playbook, well, I think that it was I found it to be a helpful extension of the producer's playbook. It just kind of went a little bit more in depth into, shadow work, and just definitely transforming. Less of the tragedy and more of the move towards passion, or what was the new word that you had decided that
Purpose.
Yeah. I liked what you just the kind of focus on kind of understanding your own, that you are the villain, kind of it was kind of like so the producer's playbook was kind of like you introduce Lucifer, you humanize Lucifer, then like Eve is like the antidote to Lucifer, and then with the love story playbook, it was kind of like now more internal, where it's like instead of Lucifer, you're actually looking at like your own villainy and like being understanding that your own antidote to that. So instead of like an external thing where you're using these like mythological people or entities, it's like internal. That's kind of what I got from it. So I thought it was a really like awesome branch off, or just continuation from the first book. That was kind
Thank
of what
you.
I got. Yeah.
Thank you for that feedback, Aura.
Yeah.
And just to put that in context, I realized that the key to transformation is to embrace the idea that we are the perpetrators on the road to redemption. And if every single person could accept that on this planet, then I think we would be better off. That's like the 12 steps, fourth step, where we realize that, oh, we had a part in this. And then also when I was in Auschwitz, listening to Dr. Jordan Peterson encourage us to see ourselves as the Nazi rather than the victim, really gave me that cathartic realization that I could have easily been a Nazi given the circumstances. And that knowing that I'm capable of it will paradoxically give me the choice of not being it. Versus if I think I am the hero and I will always be the hero, it's just inauthentic because there's a shadow in us all. So it's about having that wisdom. And I think if more people had that wisdom, like less people will project. The love story playbook helps the journal artist act out a divine comedy. It's more like like I think about the best comedians out there on stage right now performing. There's a lot, but I don't want to be throwing out names to make it biased, but I have a few of my favorites. Kevin Hart for one, laugh at my pain, and a few others. But I look at comedy as that kind of dark humor where they can laugh at shit that's just so inappropriate and mean-spirited, but at the same time kind of true, and then so people can laugh at it. I think I really feel like that is the key to the cure. When you're facing a tragedy and you're in the process of wanting to arc it, by arcing your character in that, so you're becoming anti-fragile in the process by owning your shadow, and then accepting it without fighting it, and yet finding the kind of wherewithal to contain it. And then I don't know, I feel like there's something in there, but it hasn't yet been structured out. But that's kind of the future of where it's going to take us, you know. Any questions, comments? All right, cool, sounds good. All right, so next I want to go over, let's go back to the meeting minutes. The current digital marketing strategy. So this is where we're at. Look at this, 3.33 million impressions. Cost 222,000. Look at all these numbers, man. Seriously. Like, all right, if there is a sign, here it is. But you know, the great news is back when 2016 we had 562 something impressions but only 10,000 clicks. But as you can see, something shifted back in 2018, maybe because I finally, not me, but like a team of us figured out how to like hone it down, hone it down, hone it down. And then, you know, what you see now is more clicks per impression ratio. So at this point here, first quarter of 2020, you have a boost in clicks versus impressions. Even though the impressions went down, the clicks went up, which is good. That means our ad campaigns are becoming more. Look at the time, it's 4:44. Anyway, it's becoming more narrow, which is what we want. We want everyone to find, we want to be relevant to the people that we serve. And then I've changed the location to United States only for now. I feel like I was spread too thin back when, and I don't know how my message would come across to people outside of the United States, because I've lived here all my life, so I really don't know how to speak a language outside of the the American language as of yet. I feel like if we have more people sign up and start journaling, and we, when I feel comfortable to expand it, I will. But I've since changed the location from the world to just the United States. And hopefully that will also increase conversion, because that's really the primary goal at this point, is to get people to convert and say, okay, I do want to be a member for the year and pay $11.11, because I think this is going to be good for me. John, do you have anything to add for this?
Well, I was going to ask you, is it your opinion that the increase in clicks is driven by whatever changes have so far been made with the Google AdWords? Do you think those things are related?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of which, do you want to comment on some of the stuff you've been doing?
Well, it's kind of an interesting thing to do, because you see that list of words, and then you just have to sort of decide that that this is, if this phrase, or if this word set or sequence is in somebody's head, then there's a good chance that they're looking for us, and that's kind of a hard call to make, especially since any given list, like the one that you've got up here is 10 pages, okay, and while the pages aren't big, the range of things that you get is crazy. I mean, all of this stuff, whose is this?
This
Which
is
one are we looking at?
Christina's, and her keyword is
Okay.
betrayal. But you're right. Some of this is not relevant to betrayal. So what you and I have to do, John, after this meeting in the near future, is to start organizing. They have what's called a Google Keywords Planner, which I haven't yet used, but we need to start using it because it's going to make our lives way more easy. But basically, a keywords planner is, what are people Googling? How can we categorize it? And how can we adjust our ad copy to match what they're Googling so that we can convert higher?
It is something that I sometimes struggle with. I mean, the task itself is simple enough, right? But making the decisions on, whether it's to be kept generally, specific phrase, or what have you, I can overthink the crap out of that.
Yeah, and plus,
And I do.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. That's it. While it is a relatively simple task, it is also a task that I know I tend to overthink.
I can empathize with that for sure. And also, I want to say that for these keywords that are organic, people are typing them in, and we're getting the data of what people are typing. Um, what we can eventually do on the keywords planner is to add more ads and add more keywords, because there's just things that we have not yet anticipated or predicted. Um, for example, let's just start with keywords. Oh no, it's under overview. Yeah. And I'm getting the hang of this more as we go along as well. But like, how to get over someone. We could technically create a completely new ad that is just focused on that concept.
Right.
And I didn't even think of it. Somebody else thought it for, and that's what marketing is. It's meeting them where they're at, and that's not something I'm natural at. I'm an introvert, so this is like, oh, okay. So you know what I mean? So oh, okay. So maybe I just got to speak your language and get you over to our side so you can see it our way. But let me see it your way first. And we'll talk more about that, John. Do you have time this week to go over this? I think everyone's just adjusting to this whole epidemic right now, but hopefully people will take the time in quarantine, in isolation, to get their minds off of the fear and into the journaling so that they can do the things that they've been putting off or were too busy to do. I think this is a great time, fortunately or unfortunately, to start journaling your stuff. And so currently, we have one person, Katie, who's going to publish her 3-act tragedy. She's been with me since the start of the producer's playbook pilot, which is exciting. We have Tamara, who, is starting to, um, come back, I guess. Not come back, but like, she's picking it up again. And then I also asked her to set a date. Callie is about to publish hers. And ideally, what I love to do is to start building up our producers who have stuck with us and get them published, hopefully get them marketed. And we're going to create our own Slack channel for people who are ready to publish. They're doing their Act 3, and we could give each other advice. It'll be like a supportive community, instead of like a professional marketing consultant thing. It'll just be people who have already published, who are giving ideas to each other on how to spread the awareness. Like little things that people don't know is like if you put it on Barnes and Noble's press, hardcover, hardback, you can actually go to a Barnes and Noble's and request to do a book signing. And that's guerrilla marketing. Plus, it's great that, you get to see yourself as like as a featured author. And you also get to spread the awareness and, all that stuff. So like that's our way also of creating more brand awareness of our organization is through our own people who have been hopefully transformed in the project, in the program. And I'm kind of encouraging John too to go with us with that as well, and a few other people. But basically we've closed off our pilot, and we're just now hopefully going to get some organic people out in the virtual web to come in and have this face to face with us. Real people, obviously, but we want to make a real impact for people. On like highest needs first, I'm sure I probably need like a marketing for Google Ads. So that might be John. Unless you don't want it, John, just let me know. But this, I'm just going to outline this, and you could later come back to me via private DM or PM, whatever you want to call it, on Slack, or even text message. Just let me know what position you're interested in officially, so I can add you to our website and on our 990 taxes for 2020. But basically, we need a board secretary, someone just in charge of the meeting minutes who would meet with me before the board meeting so we could discuss what are some primary areas we need to focus on as a group. This is probably like less, like an hour a week, if that. This is the very minimum job. So if you're super busy right now and spread thin, this might be the role for you. And then we need a grant director. We need someone to start leading a grant team again. I looked through the 2018 financials and realized that we just need to get that. We need to get our grants. And we need a board CFO. So I've been doing the 990 taxes and accounting for 2019, and I'm kind of backtracking a little bit to clean up the numbers. When I say clean up, I mean twos, but pretty much like I'm able to clean up our numbers so we, it's professional, it's clean, it's very clear on what our organization's doing per year. So I just finished the 990 IRS tax accounting for 2019. And since we're on this, let's just go over it. So a lot of it has to do with speeding, optimization, hosting, some branding stuff. So, we just need to get educated on this stuff so we know what we're doing moving forward. Web design. But essentially, if you look at the type of funds, it's mostly, there's only 3 milestones on the IRS form. And that's continuing to build the lovestory.org as a free journaling resource, creating the producer's pilot, which was all 2019 for us, and then the online course web development for the producer's playbook. So that's where it's at. I'll show you the revenue for 2019. So as you can see, we have very little royalties. We're not really doing well on book sales, but that's probably a good thing because I told all the artists that were inside the books and the producers and the contributors that they would be getting cryptocurrency through the Jax wallet as a standalone royalties. Well, that hasn't yet happened because we need a CFO is what I'm saying. I'm a little spread thin because I'm still building the producer's playbook. So we need a CFO who can go back to all the artists we've interviewed and say, hey, I'm so-and-so from the Love Story, the CFO, and I'd love to, get you on the Jax wallet. Give me your key. We're going to collect all the artist keys. And then we got to send it to the CTO of Everpedia, who donated their technology to us so that they could create an actual, I don't know the technical term, but the actual account for the Love Story, so that every time we do get these royalties, we put it in the wallet and it gets like in the blockchain, everyone gets paid on the crypto, but that hasn't yet happened. But we do need a CFO to implement that and to work with me to build, to do the same thing for the 2020 990, which is now, it's already done. Like the setup is already like easy breezy accounting at this point. So I just need a CFO to start doing this and to get the all the artists and contributors on the Jax wallet. And then, we did get a donation of $2,000 last year as a grant, as a private donation of a friend who, so that worked. But we do need more grants. We need more grants. And then, of course, we need a marketing director to run Google Ads. But right now it could just be marketing since I'm leading that as well. But eventually I like someone to take that over and just enhance it to the next level. So that's where we're at right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And it's 3 of us, but it's actually 5 because I didn't include myself. Myself would be the program director for now. Yeah, so that would be me for now because I'm building it. But so we're really looking for 2020 at 5 positions, like must need, like, you know, I mean, we could double up too. Like board secretary could technically be both, you know, that could be a dual position for someone out there. So I'm just leaving it there for you to take a look. Does anyone have any questions regarding the specific positions and what we're asking for?
Are you trying to get, oh, sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Are you trying to fill these positions between the 3 of us?
No. I am you two get first dibs on what you want, and then we're gonna look for people who could supplement what we need.
I mean, I would be cool with doing secretary just because right now my class right now is insanely hard. It's just I had to read Utopia in 3 days, and now I have to read Indian Givers in 2 days. It's just like I have to read these hefty books that are like on like a really fast timeline.
Yeah. Sounds good.
But I'd be down to do that. Like I think like an hour a week is doable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then the other positions are more like 5 hours, 3 to 5 hours per week, maybe. The grant director would be a little bit more because they're going to be looking for a team and to start hunting for grants. And then the CFO would probably be around 3 to 5 hours per week, at least initially, because we need to get all the artists on the jacks, all the contributors. And right now we have about 105. No, I think you're looking at maybe 100 people to get on the Jack's wallet. And then to just update the financials for 2020. And then for the marketing, that would probably also be 5 hours a week because we're looking at, monitoring it, creating ads, adjusting ads here and there. So yeah, it's out there. So let me know when you have some time to think about it. So I'm gonna put you down, Aura, for secretary, so we know that that's taken.
like once school is done, like I could see myself potentially having more time, but I'm just like right now I'm
Understood. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at right now. But yeah. So that's it for today for this month's board meeting. I'm gonna stop recording.